It is. Okay,
Putting
this
this
meeting
one
is being recorded.
Yeah, dude, it's funny. Zoom like gives you that update now. When it used to be when you would hit record, like nothing would happen, so you could like covertly record meetings. But now you do it, and it like
It's like a
notifies
big announcement. Yeah.
everybody in the meeting gets this like voice play in their headphones or speakers saying this meeting is being recorded.
Well, it's good they just give you the heads up, I guess.
Yeah, totally. Well, shit, man. Thanks for coming on the podcast, and
Yeah.
sorry I'm late.
Yeah. No worries.
I was up writing music really late last night, and I was like, should I set an alarm? And I was like, no, I don't need to set an alarm to wake up for midday. I'll wake up for midday. And
Yeah.
then next minute I woke up, I'm like, oh shit, it's 10 past 12.
Yeah, that often happens to me as well. I was just like chilling yesterday, just like ate some food and out at my management office with some friends and like didn't stay. I was trying not to stay up too late because I work from home in the mornings. Got to get up a little bit early. So yeah.
What do you do? What kind of like work from home stuff do you do?
So I work in like property management and concierge services in Aspen, but I work from home. So it's a pretty flexible job and it's pretty part time as well. It's mostly just mornings.
Do you know much about HOAs?
I don't.
Damn, because I'm having to deal with that shit right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my girlfriend and I bought a house like about I don't know, a year ago,
Yeah.
and the whole building is like run under a HOA, which
Mhm.
stands for Homeowners Association, and
Right. Of
essentially
course.
it's like a board of people who kind of like govern a bunch of rules about the place, and it's like supposed to be a net positive for the building, right? Because you want to stop shit like one person painting their apartment like pink and then like another person painting their
Yeah.
apartment orange and then like somebody storing like 20 dead broken cars out the front and like all this
Yeah.
kind
Of
of
course.
shit.
Yeah.
And like by making all of that shit illegal via the HOA or the homeowners association, you kind of like keep everybody's property value up. But at
Right.
the same time, there's like a bunch of fees and dues and shit that we need to like get. And there's one guy in our building who's been like a complete asshole about it. And basically, I've had to like take over all these HOA duties, and it's
Oh, you've had to take them over.
a little bit. I'm like just starting to, and it's really complicated. And if anybody listening to this podcast knows is a HOA guru, hit me up because I need the help.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not super familiar. I mostly just like help people book trips and stuff in the Colorado area and like book activities and stuff part time.
Hmm.
And then the rest of the time just working on music and kind of learning visual stuff slowly throughout the year.
Nice. Are you using Blender?
I sure am.
Oh,
Yeah, right
cool.
now I'm using Blender, and I just started using a new render engine called LuxCore.
Hmm.
I'm sure if you're probably familiar with that if you're familiar with Blender, but um, it does a really good job of like refractions and lighting caustics, and it kind of has this cool like light tracing feature. So it does a good job of simulating light, and I've been messing around with that, trying to get some cool results, but it's kind of slow going.
Hmm. What's the like? What is a render engine? I know like the very very basics of Blender because I like started dipping my toes into it at the start of the pandemic. I think
Yeah.
like a lot of artists had this idea at the start of the pandemic. They're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna totally like get into visuals and do all my visuals now as well. And then I got like a couple of weeks into learning about it, and I was like, you know what? I could probably just like put this energy into getting better at production.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was definitely one of those people who was like, okay, now that I've got all this time, I should probably learn how to do something visually as well. And that's why I say it's slow going because at the beginning it was just a lot. It's a big learning curve, I think. Um, but yeah, I was definitely one of those people who like yeah wanted to kind of pick it up during quarantine because of all the extra time and stuff. And I've been able to dedicate some time to it and been kind of consistent for a while and then kind of move back to just focusing on music and stuff like that. So I kind of bounce back and forth. But yeah, a render engine is anything like that you're actually rendering or kind of taking a visual image of in that 3D space. So that's gonna like, actually render the image that you have in different like in different pixels, or like at a different image size, or like however. So your render engine is pretty much like how you set um, all of your settings for how the image is going to come out, and it's kind of the main the main export tool for that image.
All
Uh,
right. So it's kind of like an offline export tool, kind of like the Ableton export window or something.
So it's kind of like the process of just exporting, except different render engines allow you to do different things, and they're kind of some are designed for you know, quicker rendering, some are designed for more intense stuff. And I'm still learning, obviously, so I might have butchered that explanation, but there's some engines that are native to Blender, those being like Cycles and Eevee. Eevee is a render engine that is made for more real time. So because it's a lot faster when rendering like textures and materials and things like that with like a high polygon count. Um, and Cycles is another render engine that's a little bit more accurate, but it's kind of slower, and it renders you know, depending on how you have it set. But it's a more realistic engine in the end, um, but it takes a little bit more CPU and power.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. That, this is exactly why I did not get into this stuff. It's complicated.
Yeah, it can be. It can definitely be complicated.
Yeah, I
Um,
feel like with audio, like no matter what DAW you're in, it's just like you get the render engine, quote unquote, that is given to you with the program, and like that's it, right?
yeah.
Actually, that's not quite true because you have like the ability to do stuff through summing buses, if you have like a metric halo or whatever too, right? So I guess you have these external options to some degree, but um, maybe not quite the same as a visual program. Yeah, I basically got to the what's like the first thing you do? It's like you take that monkey and turn it into a donut or something. Like that's the
Yeah,
the first
yeah.
Blender tutorial.
That is the level one Blender tutorial. When you type in how to make something in Blender, it's like the yeah, the big donut.
Yeah, the Taurus, I think they call
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, I did that one, and I learned that the monkey's name is like Dolores or some Suzanne. That's all right. Yeah, uh,
Suzanne. Yeah,
yeah.
I never
So that's
finished.
just yeah.
I got.
Did you go through like that whole Blender fundamentals video course on YouTube or whatever?
I did, yeah, at the beginning. Yeah, I didn't finish all the way through it, um, but I got most of the way through it, enough to like figure out how to poke around and, you know, do a few things. I was also really fascinated in like, because I'm such an audio guy and I kind of obsess over plugins. There's a lot of like add-ons that you can get for Blender uh, that speed up the process, or help, you know, help you with modeling, or help you with all sorts of stuff. So I got really into kind of browsing the Blender marketplace, where they sell add-ons, where creators develop and sell their own add-ons. And so that had kind of helped me learn how to do things a little bit faster in some ways, because um, just the native software itself can be a lot of menu diving, a lot of kind of a lot of stuff to learn initially.
Mm. Yeah, I feel like you can kind of go two routes with production. I mean, from I'm talking from a music perspective, obviously, because I don't really know what I'm doing with video. But oh, nice upscale mug. I need to get one of those.
Actually, it's a mug I got from Chipotle, and then I put an upscale sticker on it. I took two
Uh,
upscale stickers and I cut the C out of one, and then I made cup scale.
that's
This
pretty clever.
scale.
Nice. I have this one that just has waveforms on it.
That one's sick too. I like that one.
Yeah, Perfect Circuit sent this one to me. Big ups, Perfect Circuit. Um,
Gotta have a good mug.
yeah, you need a good mug. Gets the power going for the day. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, I was saying something about there's like kind of two ways that you can go with production. You can either like get really really good at like the fundamentals of it and do
Yeah,
everything from scratch, or you can get like really good at learning what tools are available to you.
yeah,
Um, and
definitely.
I, you know, for instance, in like music production, you can get like insanely good at making kick drums out of operator or whatever, or you can get insanely good at making like everything with operator. Like G Jones went that route, right?
Yeah,
Um, or you can, you know, get really good at just knowing what plugins are available to you and be like, oh, I just know that Serum does this really well, and I just know that Kick 2 is really good at making kicks, and I just know that like Punchbox is really good at making snares, and like et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like
Absolutely.
when you're beginning, it's probably almost worth investing the time in just like taking the full lay of the land and seeing what's possible to you with all the technology available.
Yeah, absolutely. And I find myself in audio production like going back and forth, like a lot of times I will spend, ages making the kick drum out of operator just, so perfect. But then at the same time, yeah, like I know that kick 2 can probably do such, like such a thing, but a lot faster or something like that. So yeah,
Dude, Kick 2 is so sick. For
it is.
those listening who don't really know what it is, it's essentially like just everything you need to make a kick drum. It's a sine wave oscillator, and there's just like a curve in the on the graph where you can just draw like a 20 kilohertz to 20 hertz like curve, which is essentially what you want with a kick drum, because you want like the start of the sine wave to be oscillating really quickly, and then at the end of the sine wave you want it to be oscillating quite slowly. So it's just this really like elegant curve generator for a sine wave, and then there's like three samplers attached to it that allow you to load in a bunch of clicks, and they come with a bunch of clicks and hats, so you can like layer them on top of this sine wave. Then there's like some basic effects in it, like an EQ to, rebalance the kick tonally, and then like a EQ and a saturator to kind of like beef it up and all that kind of stuff. And then there's, I think, like a harmonic generator as well down the bottom right of it, where you can add like extra harmonics to the sine wave if you want to.
I love that it gives you a readout of the note in the uh, pitch editor or in the pitch curve.
Yeah, exactly. So you can like tune your kick exactly
Yeah,
to the song as well, which I think is super important if you want to like get everything sounding, really exact. Because if you think about like what EQ is, which is essentially what you need to do to like mix a song, right? You need to like EQ everything. Essentially, what you're doing a lot of the time with EQ is making sure that there's not wrong notes in things.
yeah,
Because like, if you have a snare where the fundamental is in the key of the song, let's say it's F, but then it has like some secondary harmonic to it that's in like, I don't know, F sharp or something, and that's making it sound dissonant. Quite often, like, with EQ, you'll pull that out or something just to kind of make it so it's not sounding all fucked up and dissonant musically. So yeah, I feel like it's really important with drums to just be able to fix those things from the start point.
yeah, 100%. I've also found a new kick synth that I've been using recently called Bazism. The
Oh, dude. Yeah, that
BAZIS.
one's old school, the little orange thing.
It's super old school, but I love it. I think it's great. I forget who
Oh,
makes
yeah.
it.
It's
I,
intelligent sounds.
yeah, yep. I use it all the time because it's such a quick. It's one of those tools that's like everything's laid out for you very easily. It's not complicated. You've got a few sliders and everything is very much dialed in. And you can dial exactly like what frequency the kick will end up resting on, how long the decay is, um, the amount of pitch and the transient, the amount of the time and decay of the transient, and those sorts of things. But it's all laid out in a very like kind of plug and play way. Um, so I've been using that a lot as well, just kind of for like the main fundamental, and then finding some type of sample or maybe like an acoustic layer to layer on top of that.
Yeah, thanks for the reminder. I actually bought that plugin years ago and I just haven't
Oh,
installed it
have you?
again.
Give it
Yeah,
a go.
I've used it a lot back in the day, especially when I was like making psytrance, because like when I was making
Yeah.
psytrance, that's kind of like the standard everyone in the scene uses bassism.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like the tool for making kicks in the psytrance community.
Well, I'm late to that because I just found it like a month or two ago, maybe. But since I found it, it's been I don't know. I like how clean. Obviously, it just it's just a very clean sound. You also have the option to kind of layer this little white noise on top of it.
Well, these guys make a bunch of stuff. They make EQism, which
EQ
is
is
an equalizer plugin with
everything is
filters of the second to the 20th order. Damn, that's like a pretty hectic EQ. They have Mango, which is the perfect mastering harmonic processor. They have Duck Delay, which is an echo machine with features you've never seen before.
never seen.
They also have Kickzilla,
Pixzilla.
which is
You
creates
need to.
It
I need
creates
to.
rumble for your techno kick drums.
Yeah, maybe I don't need Kickzilla.
Yeah, maybe not. It seems like you know that like weird low end. It's like all muddy and shit in techno songs.
Yeah, it seems like
That's
that's what they're going for.
yeah. I think Kickzilla is the tool for that. If you
Okay.
just want to add a ton of mud to your shit. Um, yeah, man, I gotta check out this shit more. Pulsar synthesizer, nuclear. Oh, they make a synth called nuclear. It's a pulsar train synthesizer. what
That
is a
makes no sense.
what is pulsar synthesis? I've never heard of this. Have you ever heard of pulsar synthesis?
No, I haven't at all.
What is? Yeah, let me have a look at this. All right, pulsar synthesis is a method of electronic music synthesis based on the generation of trains of sonic particles.
Whoa.
Pulsar synthesis can produce either rhythms or tones as it crisscrosses perceptual time spans. The basic method generates sounds similar to vintage electronic music sonorities with several important enhancements. The advanced method combines multiple pulsar trains and convolution with sampled sounds. Together with Alberto Di Campo, the author has designed a program for pulsar synthesis called Pulsar Generator. Okay, now it's just selling me a thing.
Yeah. It sounds to me almost like you said it said a train of audio by generating like
of sonic particles.
sonic particles. So that
Dude,
just sounds to me a fancy way of saying it's a granular synthesis like synthesizer. But
it sounds like it's gonna run a train on your track.
I'm gonna run a sonic train through your mind.
Yeah, dude. Hide your wife. It's gonna run a sonic train through here.
Oh.
Um,
I
I
wonder
kind of
what these
need to.
guys were thinking when they went to kind of create that explanation.
Dude, I don't know. The same thing exists in granular though, right? Like they call all of the little grains, or what do they call it? They call it, yeah, I think
Particles
they call it grains or particles, and then they call like how long they are a window size. And then if you have
or
like
grain
tons
size.
of, yeah, and then if you
Yeah.
have like a shitload of them together, they call it a cloud,
Oh, okay.
which is I guess like where the name clouds came from for the Eurorack module.
Right. For the mutable instruments one.
Yeah, which in my opinion, I thought was the coolest shit ever for like a week. And then after using it a ton, I was like, this really just does like one thing to everything. Like it doesn't matter what you run
Yeah.
it through. It's like one of those tools where you just, whatever you put through it, it sounds like that.
I did have the opportunity to have one around here for a month or so, and I found that to be the same thing for me as well.
Were you running stuff out of your sound card from Ableton into it and then back in, or were you
Yeah,
just using it?
primarily. Yeah,
Nice. Yeah.
primarily I was running audio out and back in, and then just my buddy had let me borrow his Eurorack since he was redoing his studio, and was able to play with some nice like tube modules and stuff like that. And he also had the clouds module as well.
Mm. The tube module he had, was it Plasma Drive?
It was not Plasma Drive, but I have messed with that one as well. And that also is kind of a one trick pony, but it's sick though.
Yeah, it just looks really sick.
Yeah, yeah.
Almost
Uh,
for the look alone, it's kind of
yeah.
worth it.
I believe it was called Metasonics Ring Shaper. And it was a tube ring shaper that had a very, very interesting tone. And as you increase the tone, it almost had this sort of balloon sound, like like kind of this very it had a feedback and a tone and a drive control. And as you turn the tone up, you're kind of you like tuning the pitch of the feedback, I believe. But it pushes these really, really kind of interesting, almost elastic balloon sounds through this tube. And we've had a ton of fun with that. So that's been one module I need to get for myself to have around all the time.
Yeah, I actually just sold all of my modular. I didn't feel like there was any module that I needed around all the time anymore. Like after
Yeah,
sampling it a bunch, I was just like, whatever.
yeah.
Um,
I
yeah,
went through a phase where I wanted to like build a whole Eurorack synth, and I felt like, by the end of it, I was interested in so many other things that were right in front of me.
yeah, exactly. kind of feel like uh, having so much gear around me. I talked about this with Edit when he was on the podcast.
Mhm.
Uh, that having like too much gear around you can make you feel like guilty
Yeah.
if you're not using it all the time, you know. And I
Yeah.
just had like so much modular shit and like synths and just all this crap sitting around me that I was just never using. And I would always like come sit in the studio, and every single day, like maybe it would only be for a split second, or maybe it would be for like 10 seconds or whatever. But I would like always look at it, and like
Yeah.
something would be like snap in my mind and be like, you should use that gear at some point. Oh
Y
fuck, I have an alarm going off. 1 sec. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, and apologies in advance. I'm making bread, which means like every
Oh,
half an
that's
hour I
awesome.
need to go and do a thing.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I'll be right back there.
Okay, cool.
Sick. Apologies.
Yeah, no worries, man. Just hanging out with YouTube.
Nice. Yeah, my podcast editor Robert will probably just cut out these times where I go to do that.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
yeah. Yeah, no worries.
But yeah, like I was saying, I was just feeling really guilty having all of this, you know, gear around me, and then I've actually found since selling it, um, I just walk into the studio now, and there's like no other thing to do other than sit on my computer, right, and like turn my
Yeah.
speakers on and like work on music, and I've just found that to be like a way more streamlined process for me personally.
Yeah, definitely. I think it can be intimidating too when you walk into a studio and it's like there's so much gear that it's like almost a bit like uncomfortable, like it's unnatural in a way, you know? I've grown up writing music in like a bedroom, you know? And so in some way like um for me, I kind of prefer to have my studio at home, especially. Like I know a lot of producers do like having a separate workspace from their home. But for me, it's like having the ability to, roll out of bed and go into a different room and be in a studio is like it's just very nice. And as opposed to like having to go somewhere and kind of feeling like, if there's a ton of gear around that you're not using the studio to the fullest of its capacity, you know.
Mm. So your current studio that you're in now is just a separate room in your house?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. I I live with Nolan. I live on the top floor. And then yeah, I have a separate bedroom from my studio.
Nice. That's that Denver rent right there.
Yeah.
Good to have separate rooms and shit.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a good amount of space. I mean, we're 20 minutes north of Denver, so kind of in the suburbs a bit, but get that extra space. I lived in Chicago for the last 5 years and um, was definitely keen to have, you know, more space to spread out and be kind of out in the mountains and a little bit more quiet area.
Yeah, totally. What is all the paneling you have there? Is that GIK stuff or is that like stuff you built?
Yeah, no, it's all custom stuff that we built. Actually, yeah, Nolan's stepdad helped me build all of this stuff and helped me hang it, and um, yeah, it's all just rock wool and framing and fabric.
Nice. Yeah, I actually just started repaneling my room. You can see that behind me there's
Yeah.
some black shit, but then there's also like a bunch of yellow shit.
Oh, okay.
Um, so the black shit is GIK stuff, which I'm actually just getting rid of, and then the blue stuff in the corner and the yellow stuff here is new stuff that I'm putting in now.
How come you
And
decided to get rid of GIK?
because it's mainly it was the color. I kind
Oh,
of got
okay.
sick of the black panels. Like it just makes the room feel really small and congested. Um, and part of the reason I think I got rid of a lot of my modular stuff and whatnot is because I just kind of got sick of like having this really congested feeling studio.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, like I didn't want this little cockpit that I feel like in. I just wanted this like big kind of
yeah,
like wooden open space that I can just chill in. There's like a massive window next to me and shit. It's like the kind of opposite vibe that I've always had in studios. And
yeah, yeah.
um,
As you can see, my studio's kind of small and dark.
I mean that's the like classic studio vibe, right? It's like that small, dark, very claustrophobic paneled vibe with just like gear all around you and shit.
Yeah,
And I kind of wanted to go like the opposite direction with it because I just feel like I don't know. I just feel better in a space where there's a lot more room and yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
um. So yeah, that's why I'm
I
doing it.
try to keep my my desk clear to give like I feel like a clear desk is kind of uh a clear mind, you know. So
Mm,
I try to like clear my desk space. And my room is a bit smaller, so I kind of have to work with the space that I have. And adding all of that sound treatment did kind of tighten it up a little bit. But I mostly keep it pretty simple with just a keyboard and a push on the desk. And the desk is pretty large, so I'm able to just kind of have that space as well to spread out on if I need to.
yeah, nice. Yeah, I do the same. I have like pretty much nothing on my desk except my mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
Um, and
Interesting how that kind of plays into like your your psychology or like the way that you like the way that you feel when you sit down,
mm, yeah, if there's like shit everywhere, you might feel like rushed or something,
Yeah.
or you might feel like yeah,
Or just yeah. Like you
like
don't know
you,
what to work on first or something like that.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, agreed.
Probably like subconsciously to some degree.
Yeah, it is kind of weird, hey, how like your space can just like change the vibe of shit that you're working on right then and there a lot of and stuff like that.
I think it's interesting too. I've been thinking a lot about like the psychology behind like how people experience electronic music and like how like the psychology by like how us as producers how we experience it as well. And I think it's interesting because like one of the primary reasons electronic music excites people so much is because they don't necessarily understand it, but it also gives them something to relate to a degree. And I kind of found like like growing up listening to electronic music and then becoming a producer and spending some years at that and kind of maturing and growing, it's interesting as like sort of once you get to understanding the way that everything's done and you've dived into production for some amount of years, how um specific sounds will you'll hear them in a different way or almost experience them different because you understand the way that they were created, and it's almost a different like the mystery is somewhat resolved as a producer once you start like understanding the way that everything's done. And yeah, I think it's like it's interesting to compare that as well to the consumer's experience or the listener's experience, and like as a listener, how they grow, what sounds become, you know, familiar to them, or and like what sounds continue to excite people, and the way that you like continue pushing the bar in sound design and arrangement as well.
Mm.
But it's also interesting to know, like, I think there's a very important aspect of giving people something that they can relate to at the same time. And a lot of times that comes in the form of like drums or like rhythm and groove that you can follow. Um, but yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think like people generally will gravitate towards things that feel natural to them and feel familiar to them and feel like unchallenging to them
Yeah,
because it's just it's more comfortable to do that.
yeah,
Like for instance, I think we like the sound of vocals a lot, and we
mm,
like the sound of vocal sounds a lot. You know, like basses that have a lot of form in them and stuff like that kind of sound vocal, and I think naturally people will remember those sounds more,
right.
which I think is like partially why people like Tipper's music so much. It's just also vocal,
Hmm.
um, and also like a lot of stuff with heavily sampled vocals in it. I think um, people gravitate towards that stuff a lot as well, and yeah, definitely. I think like whatever is familiar to us. Um, it makes us feel comfortable and unchallenged, and we'll always gravitate towards that stuff more. Like the extreme examples of stuff we don't gravitate towards is like noise music, right? Which is
Yeah,
just the opposite of rhythmic or vocal. It's just like pure white noise. And
yeah. But I find it interesting as well that like that is, that's people do tend to gravitate towards that, but in the realm of electronic music, a lot of people also fall in love with it because it's like something that they don't quite understand yet, when they first hear it, or like um it kind of like captures their attention because it's like, some sound that's primarily they're unfamiliar with, and it's like, whoa, how is it, how is this being done? Where is it, like it's a new thing to them. And I feel like a lot of times, that's like, at least for me, that's kind of what drew me in, was like I had never heard sounds like this before, and that was very interesting to me. But at the same time, I was able to relate to like the drum groove of like a, like a hip hop tune or something that I could like dance to and follow to. um and that's kind of why I fell in love with it. And it was like the mystery and the excitement of hearing new sounds. And so I think, like, for me, my primary focus is to kind of explore that, continue to explore that, in sound design and in music in general.
as in like you want to keep enough stuff there that feels normal and uh, relatable in your music, but then add in just moments of things that are slightly different and interesting enough to draw people in.
Yeah, to a degree, or just, coming to understand that balance between the two, or just kind of playing with that balance, experimenting with that, between like having giving people things that they're familiar with and giving things that people might be uncomfortable with, or that might make them think or consider, what a listening experience is supposed to be, you know.
Mm. Yeah, I think there's a lot of crazy shit you can do in electronic music that's almost subconscious to a degree that is not possible to do in the real world that really piques the interest of our ears and our brains.
Right.
Like, for instance, there's this thing I heard some guy say the other day on some Ableton tutorial. He was like, "Oh, you should violate space." And what he meant by that was like, um, you can do weird shit with reverb, right? Like you can have like three drums happen consecutively and all of them can have a completely different reverb on them. Like one can sound like it's in a bathroom, the next one can sound like it's outside, and the next one can sound like it's in some big arena.
Right.
uh or you can do other things, where you can like uh hit like a drum or whatever and have like a reverb tail that like sounds like it's extremely long but then just like cuts off completely.
Yeah, yeah,
um
absolutely. I love that feeling as well.
Yeah,
um,
exactly. And I
yeah.
think stuff like that really piques our brain's interest because it's something that's like not like it's something that we're used to hearing in the real world,
Mhm.
but it's been violated in some way.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Um,
I like that term. Like, it like to kind of break the rules of space of what, you know.
Mm. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's kind of what you're saying about other things too, right? It's like
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
same with like vocal sounding basses. It's like, yes, this is a voice, but it's not a voice. Like it's
Right.
it's a voice
Exactly.
that's doing something that a voice shouldn't be able to do.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. And yeah,
yeah.
just exploring, yeah, just kind of like exploring the balance between like, you know, what people can be familiar with and enjoy, and like pushing, you know, pushing sounds kind of to their capacity, or, you know, just like exploring new directions and kind of seeing what works on the dance floor and what doesn't, you know.
Mm.
And just kind of continue to try to find sounds that are unfamiliar to me, you know, and, you know, likely or hopefully, you know, other people experience those and enjoy them.
Yeah, that's always fun, right? It's like finding the balance between what could be considered like listenable and enjoyable music
Yeah.
versus like what is just starting to become too much of a sound design wank
Yeah,
or like
absolutely.
too much of a production wank or
Yeah.
whatever.
And like
And
you know, I'm totally one of those people, like I enjoy all of that, you know, like I enjoy a good, you know, sound design bass tune, you know, where it's just like fuck off sound design. But
mm,
uh yeah, I kind of, yeah, I like appreciate all of the bits in between as well, you know.
right, yeah, we were talking about this the other day with the Volume EP, right?
Yeah.
Like you're saying you're a big fan of it, and I'm
Yeah,
a massive
absolutely.
fan of it. But I think it falls into that category of just like complete sound design madness. And
Yeah.
there's like a lot of parts of that EP where he'll like start getting into some sort of groove or
Mhm.
a vibe, and it'll just be like that for like a bar or two, and then it'll completely change. And
Yeah.
there's so many sections in those songs where I'm like, fuck, man, like if you just hung around on that section for like I don't know, 16 bars or something. Like it would
Yeah.
just be
Yeah.
so satisfying.
Yeah.
But
Actually, it's funny because I talk about this with Nolan a lot too, about just like infinite riffage when you're just
mm,
like, you know, you're just like going off into kind of a million different areas and like, um, yeah, I do really enjoy that as well though. In maybe in just, you know, from a producer perspective, sitting in my studio, enjoying just listening to 1,000 different riffs, you know. But I definitely think that there is, you know, there is, it's important to be able to, you know, kind of settle on ideas, you know, and have a theme throughout the tune. And a lot of the tunes that, like, you know, I've fallen in love with the most have been things that were, you know, kind of this consistent thing the whole time that sort of changed and evolved, but, you know, the main kind of hook or groove was something that, you know, was followable and catchy and like something that I could really like keep going with, you know.
yeah, well, I think like, stuff like Volumes EP, it's like ear candy, right? It's like fun to listen to. There's like a lot there to like listen to.
Yeah, I
But I
love it.
think stuff like, maybe John Hopkins albums or some of Tipper's albums or something, they're more like they are ear candy as well, but they're more like emotion candy. Like
Mhm.
there's just a lot there to vibe with. And I
Yeah,
feel like
yeah.
that stuff's always going to be a little more powerful.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I love John Hopkins. I love Tipper. Um, and I think I want to also kind of explore, you know, a more um, down tempo or maybe a more just a more conceptual side of writing music as well. I think a lot of the tunes that I write have been kind of dance floor tunes, and um, I am very like very very much inspired by, you know, live sound systems and dance floors. But I also have like just a lot of ideas that I want to express that might not be, you know, perfectly for that platform or in that situation, you know.
Mm. Yeah, I feel like Yeti is one of the people who does really interesting things with taking, like what a sound system can do, and and exploring it a lot. Like for instance,
Yeah,
he
absolutely.
has that song "Crack the Window,"
Mhm.
and it's literally just like a 20 hertz like 808, and then like a 20 kilohertz like synth line, and there's like nothing in between.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
um,
But that space between those frequencies is like it does, you know, it does a lot. It's interesting to think about like the way that a sound system reacts um based on, you know, what frequency is playing at what time and what, and the lack thereof, you know.
Mm. Yeah, I also think Yeti's music is interesting in the sense that this is something that Liquid Stranger told me. He was like, I think Yeti stuff sounds so good live because it's so dry. Like
Hmm.
there's not a lot of reverb on it. And when you listen to it in a studio, sometimes you can be like, it can sound a little bit like it's too dry. But when you hear it live, it sounds kind of perfect because there's all that extra reverb being applied by the room,
Hmm.
and then it like automatically sounds a little cleaner than everyone else's
Yeah.
music.
Yeah, I'm really keen on clean music as well. Like, um, I definitely like a good clean mix down for sure.
Yeah, the problem is that like what I would consider a clean mix down in the studio is like very different, I think, than what I would consider a clean mix down, in a club on a big sound system or something.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I totally know what you mean. And like, it's hard because it's not like you can just always listen to your music on a sound system before before you run out with your USBs.
Yeah, exactly. So what have you been working on lately? Have you been trying to make like an album or an EP or?
Yeah, so I'm writing an EP right now. It's kind of untitled at the moment, but yeah, I'm working on an EP and got some shows coming up, some dates coming up in the summer and fall. So yeah, just kind of working on getting my EP finished up, and then hopefully going to try and maybe write a little bit longer of a project. Um, Try to do like maybe an album of sorts. Um, but yeah, right now just kind of trying to flesh out this 4-track EP.
Did you know on the Mind Warp Management website, if you click on your name,
Yes,
Chroma,
yeah, I know it doesn't go.
it
It
takes you
doesn't
to
go
Killer
that.
Nova?
Yeah, I know.
It
I gotta
just,
tell them that. I forgot to tell them that.
even if I type Chroma in the URL, it doesn't go.
That's bad web development right there.
Yeah, who is Mind Warp Management? Oh, it's looks like it's Tank and Tynan. Oh, Tynan used to be my agent, I think, at
Nice.
Madison House.
Yeah, yeah. Tyler research.
Um,
It's nice.
yeah, how is it being managed by these dudes?
It's great. Yeah, I mean, they're local in Denver, so their office is here, and they've got a great setup there. It's a beautiful office and some great workspace for all the artists that are involved as well. So it's a really nice space to meet and work and do all of that. And yeah, things have been great so far. Been really enjoying it.
That's cool. So it's like they have a studio there or something?
Yeah, there's 3 or 4 studios there,
Hmm.
uh, and yeah, that's so some of them are specific for artists like Andy Immersive has a studio there, and then the other 3 studios are available for kind of for all the artists to use.
Cool, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, they have been in the management game for a few years, but it seems like they're getting their shit down.
yeah, yeah. It's a good team.
Yeah, cool. How did you get hooked up with them?
Well, so I moved here from Chicago like about a year ago, almost now. It seems like it wasn't so long ago, but yeah, it's almost been a year. Um, they were working with some of my close friends who I was, um, yeah, close with from Chicago, um, other producers. And so, yeah, because they were really close with some of my friends and they were working with them, I kind of got introduced to them and introduced to what they were doing. And yeah, things just kind of went from there.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, it's definitely important to have like good agency slash good
Yeah.
management behind you.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. I've been working with Submission as well for like the past 4 years, and that's been wonderful. So
yeah, it's kind of
combination is
crazy
great.
that when you get like the right agent behind you, your fees just like instantly double.
Yeah,
Like for instance, I don't want to name names, but yeah, basically uh if your agent like doesn't have the ability to essentially flex artists from the rest of their roster, the they can kind of get pushed over, it seems like, when making deals for you. But like, let's say an artist, an agent has an artist to flex that's massive, like let's say Skrillex's agent, right?
Right.
Um, and then let's say some festival wants to book like you, Roma, and that same agent also has the ability to choose where Skrillex plays. They can be like, oh, we want to give Chroma like, $2,000. And then the agency would just instantly be able to be like, no, you're going to give him $5,000 or you can't book Skrillex. And
Yeah.
then instantly the festival will be like, oh, well, done. Like I want to book Skrillex. So like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
It's
just
interesting.
crazy like how that kind of thing can exist in the music industry, right? It's like such a fucking game of, I don't know, like poker or something. It's like everyone's whole, I don't know. It's, the music industry is super weird, man.
It is, man. Like yeah, I try to just focus on making tunes, you know. Uh,
Unfortunately, you can't though. Like part of the job is this other
yeah,
bullshit politics crap.
it is definitely. But I'm definitely like stoked on the people that I'm working with, you know, and comfortable where I'm at. So, it's important. I feel like that's the most important thing too. If you're, if you're gonna take on, those things.
Totally. So, when do you expect your EP to be finished slash released?
Probably within the next like month or two. I would say probably like 2 months.
Cool. How
But
many tracks is it?
I don't have a specific date for it set. But I'm working on like 4 to 5 tracks.
Nice. Do you like try to set hard dates to be finished with things?
Yeah, absolutely. But I've also kind of been giving myself um, a little bit of freedom just because, over the last year it's been um, sort of, ups and downs with inspiration, I think a lot of people went through that, but yeah, I think I've the last tune that I released was with Bass Rush. And I did a single with Spades called Shook. That one just came out like maybe a month, maybe two ago. Um, but as far as my personal projects, I usually give myself, some freedom so that I can make sure that it's, something that I'm really stoked on and something that I'm really, you know, proud of. And it usually ends up being that I spend the most amount of time on those things. So,
Mm.
dates can kind of change.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I like set like pretty hard cutoff for me to be finished with my album this time, and I'm happy with it. Like the album's good, and we're just like wrapping up all the masters now. But it was, yeah, definitely. I like put it down before I was like 100% happy with it, because I'll never be 100% happy. Like
Yeah.
so instead I find I kind of have to set myself a date where I'm like, as by June 31st, however good it is by that date is like how it's going out, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because
I
like I
respect that a
could,
lot as well.
yeah, because I could spend until July 31st or August 31st or September 31st or whatever. And it's only going to get like, 1% better. And it's only probably going to get 1% better in my eyes. Like in other people's eyes, they probably won't tell the difference. Like they'll listen to both versions and be like, it's 0% better. It's the exact same bill. Like,
Yeah.
what are you even doing at this point?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I find I just have to put it down at some point.
Yeah. It's
Um,
definitely a mental game that, you have to play with yourself. Uh Kind of like trying to decide whether or not you're happy with what you've got, or, if you want to keep pushing, new ideas. A lot of times I'll find myself just writing whole like new sections and doing all sorts of shit like really late on in the process. And it's like, you know, how far did I need to go to just go back to the first riff that I had?
right. And then at some point, you also have to ask yourself, like, is this better because it's better, or is this just better because it's different? Like, am
Yeah,
I just enjoying
100%.
this more because it's like a different thing
I
that I'm
haven't
not?
listened to it 1,000 times.
Yeah, exactly. Like, am I
Yeah.
just less sick of this thing, or like, is it actually a
Yeah.
better tune? So it's always, yeah, really hard to call yourself on shit like that too. Cause I mean, what is better is totally subjective and down to the moment as well, right? Like if
Yep.
something, this is exactly how like DJ sets work. Like certain tracks become better in the set just because they're different from the track that was before it. And, you know,
Yeah.
on their own they might be like a pretty boring track, but like in a set they might be a really interesting track that like ties two other tracks together really well or something like
Yeah,
that.
because of the dichotomy of what was played before or
Yeah, exactly, because it's like contrasting and stuff.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that kind of stuff like always fucks with me in the album finishing process. But
Right.
yeah,
And that kind
do
of
you,
goes back to what we were talking about earlier as well with like sound systems and like hearing something live and having that stick out more because it's different from what you were just listening to or what you've heard up until that moment.
yeah, do you ever get to like the end point of a track where you're like, all right, this is finished, and feel like it's like extremely sick?
Um yeah, I think so. I'd like to think so. Uh
Nice.
it's definitely like, you can I definitely listen to my music. By the time I'm done writing the tune, I've heard it a lot of times, you know. Um but yeah, I definitely can finish tunes and be like I'm stoked for sure. Um and I think I'm trying to also like if for the longest time like when you start writing music, it's really just about like having fun, as you're writing. And I think it gets, as you mature and grow, it gets, more serious. And I'm trying to kind of like get back mentally in the same space of just like having fun and trying like new ideas and doing things that I haven't tried before, you know. Because I feel like some of the best and the most fun things that I've written were when I was just like when I didn't know what I was doing, or like some of the coolest results of things are like absolute mistakes. So
Right. Yeah,
I'm
that's when you
trying
start.
to yeah, I'm trying to like get back to having fun and exploring with like things that I'm still unfamiliar with, or doing exercises like specifically working an hour a day on something that I'm bad at, or
Mm.
uh, trying like a new plugin, or like thinking about just whatever processing chain that I'm creating, like just trying not to do it the same way every time, or that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's a great habit to get into for sure. I should definitely do that more. Vibe Squad has a really cool habit that he does too, whereas like every morning when he wakes up, he digests a new tutorial from YouTube. Like just the
Yeah.
first thing every morning when he's like having his coffee, he just watches a 20-minute tutorial or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I thought that was a really good thing to do,
Yeah.
which I should probably do more often.
It's
But
also pretty difficult to like sit there and be like, what would I not do? Like, what should I do that I wouldn't do right now?
right,
Like
because it's
it's
like
kind of challenging.
the mechanics that you would need to think of that would be the exact same mechanics that would have allowed you to do that thing in the first place.
Precisely. Yeah.
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 It's kind of, yeah, like a bit of a paradox.
Yeah.
This is why collaborating with people is good because they often think of shit that you would never have thought of.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I find I get to the end of the process with writing music, and uh, this is something that Hero Bus said, and I feel pretty much the same. It's like if I get to the end and I feel like it's really fucking sick, then I know I've done something wrong. I know that I just haven't like spent enough time with it, basically. Because like if there's any point where I'm like, this is fucking amazing. Oh fuck, this alarm's going. Hold on, I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah. Go get your bread.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like if a track I'm like, this is the coolest fucking track ever, then I just have not spent enough time like mixing it or like
Yeah.
editing it or messing around with it. And usually those tracks that I feel that way about, if I just leave them sitting there for like a month and then come back and listen to them again, I'm like, yeah, this is like not a finished tune. This is this is
Yeah.
like a half finished tune or whatever. Because there's always that point, right? Like at the start where you're like really vibing on something
Right.
and
Of
you're like,
course.
this is fucking sick. But like you're also so like blinded, I think, by the fact that it's just a new idea. You know, the same way that like in a set or whatever, you listen to something and you hear it like once and you're like, that's the sickest shit ever. But like, yeah, and I mean, if you're only ever going to listen to the tune once, then that's great. But like, you yourself as an artist have to listen to it thousands of times. You know, like
Yeah.
first of all when you're making it, and then second of all, like you're gonna have to play it in sets all the time. Um, so yeah, it's a
Yeah. And I think that's why I said I'd like to think that I do, but
mm,
I think once you've spent enough time with it, it becomes it's another one of those things like kind of what I was talking about earlier. It becomes, almost like the mystery of it or the excitement of it kind of is like you've heard it so many times that and you understand the idea, you know. And if you've finished it, then it's likely that you've spent, dozens of hours banging your head against the wall to get it right. So um, it might kind of lose its novelty by the end of it, perhaps. But I think it sort of makes up for it in the moments when you're like performing it or something like that, and you can, you know, really have that experience and share that experience with like a ton of people, you know.
mm.
Um, so yeah, it's kind of yeah, it's one of those labors where it's like by the end of it, you might be crazy and you might, not feel the same way about it, but then, in that moment when you get to share it with people and they're receiving it in like, in such an exciting way, it like kind of makes up for all of that hard work that kind of drove you nuts.
Oh yeah, yeah. I definitely don't think it's not worth it.
Yeah.
I just think it's yeah, it's hard to get to the end of an album and be like, this is
Oh
really
yeah.
sick.
Yeah, yeah, no, 100%.
It's almost like you need to finish an album and then just like beat yourself in the head with like a small bat or something and like give yourself amnesia and then like listen to it. I
Yeah.
feel like usually what I try to do is just not listen to the album after it's out for a few months and
Mhm.
then if I can, if I'm not like playing shows surrounding the album,
Yeah.
and then listen to it like a couple of months later and then I can usually have like a little bit more of an objective opinion about it.
Yeah. I find it really valuable when I'm listening to my music uh to do it in spaces that are outside of my studio or outside of like my house. Because I feel like when I listen to music, if I'm on like a bus or if I'm in the car or if I'm on, an airplane or whatever, I almost listen to it more objectively than I would if I was sitting in my studio. Um it kind of puts me in the space of thinking about it in a way that somebody else might perceive it instead of like super personally from, you know, from my home or from my studio. Uh,
Mm.
it's interesting to me because like when especially when I'm in transit, if I listen to like if I'm like listening to what I've done the night before or something like that, I oftentimes can be a little bit more objective when I'm listening to it.
Yeah, do you ever get that experience where like you'll be listening to something in your studio and you'll be like, this is fucking sick, and then like somebody else will come into your studio and you'll play it for them, and then you like are all self-conscious about certain sections, like
Oh, of course,
thinking certain things are like way too cheesy, and you're like, oh man, like this is like actually not as good as I thought it was.
of course, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what is that?
that's like I feel like maybe it's being like
Like you become more self-conscious of the music
yeah
than you were or something.
because it's like such a new idea, or because it's like yeah, you become like extra self-conscious, but you're like really excited about it because it's that new idea, and then like somebody walks in the room and it's like, oh, this is I haven't worked on this for that long, like don't judge me, like oh yeah, I just started this, like you know don't ignore the intro.
I mean, I get it even with finished tracks though. Like for instance, yesterday I went to a warehouse in Oakland and this guy wanted to show me this sound system that he like literally built. It's like this really
That's
intelligent
cool.
guy. I've had him on the podcast before. His name's Anthony Bassett, and he like builds these crazy speakers for this company called Mobius.
Okay.
And he was like, "Oh yeah, like let's listen to one of your tunes on here." And it was one of like the finished tunes from my album. And I don't know, like I put it on, and as soon as I was listening to it, I was like, "Oh, I fucking like hate this tune." Like as soon as I like start showing my music to other people, and I am like around the other people who are
Yeah.
listening to it, I'm like, "Oh man, like this needs to be different. This is like
Yeah.
shitty." And
If you're ever at like a party and your music starts playing, and it's just like,
yeah, it's like all awkward.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I
kind of
wonder
weird that
why.
you like don't want to listen to your music in that setting, but then like you're comfortable with being the one that provides it in a party setting, you know?
I think like part
You
of it
don't
is
want
like
to consume it, but
you can hide behind the idea of a DJ set because like
yeah.
a lot of people may not know that the track you're playing is yours, maybe, or
Yeah, perhaps.
so you can kind of be like, "Oh, this is just a song of a random miscellaneous variety. What
Yeah.
do you think of this?"
Yeah. Is
um,
this okay?
yeah, but also I guess like uh you can get pretty self-conscious about playing other people's tracks in sets too, especially like when people are tagging you in the Instagram stories and shit afterwards,
And then
when
it's not
all
yours.
yeah, when all the tags are like, "Oh, this is so sick," and it's like all of them are not your tunes. You're like, god damn it.
Why is it also like that a lot of times when you're playing your tunes out or like I put well for me at least I play like primarily original sets, but then like I'll mix in, quite a few of like my friends' tunes as well. But it's like oftentimes like I'll have worked on the tunes in the set kind of like up till I play the set. And then when I play somebody else's tune, I'm like getting almost more excited about that and like getting down or like more comfortable to play that than like the thing that I just like spent hours working on before I got there. You know what I mean? Because it's like almost a little bit. You're like, oh, I don't know if like this is gonna go off the way that I hoped, or it's almost like a little bit like slightly more self conscious because it's like something you were just working on or whatever.
Yeah, totally.
But
Have you
then
played
if that
any?
goes off, it's like then that is like a very satisfying feeling too. It's like risk
Yeah.
versus reward, like like getting a good crowd reaction from something that you just wrote the night before is also incredible too. So
Yeah, totally. Have you done any shows since the pandemic thing stopped happening? I guess it's still kind of somewhat happening, but
I think it's yeah. I played Boulder Theater with Mersive,
oh,
uh,
nice.
and I kind of have been um, been around doing some BTBs here and there, and um, but yeah, I've got some stuff that we're lining up for the summer that I'm really excited about too. So
Cool. How'd the Boulder Theater show go?
it was good. I never played in Boulder before. Boulder is beautiful, so
Mm,
beautiful. I
it
wish I,
is,
I
yeah.
wish I could like spend more time there. I mean, I can. I only live like 20 minutes away, but I wish I lived there because it's so beautiful. Um, but
Yeah, it
luck, yeah,
is. It is nice.
yeah. But yeah, it was good, man. It was good. It was interesting because it was like in a theater, but there were still like roped off sections because it was still during the time when at the time there it was still like seated arrangements. Um, so kind of interesting to be in like a theater with tables, but
Mm.
really excited now that everything has opened back up. Really stoked.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how fast it happened, right? I was like, surely we're gonna just like ease into this over time. But it was like, nope, just bam, one to 100. Or
Yeah.
zero to 100, whatever the saying is.
Yeah, yeah. I think people were ready for it, after a year. And I think the people that were vaccinated were just like, ready to go. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think people were ready to go before they were vaccinated. You know, we
oh,
had
for
like
sure.
a
Yeah.
bunch of little shows happening,
Yeah.
even still people before people were vaccinated. Dude, I've been like fucking concerned about the amount of people I've been seeing who just won't get the vaccine. It's kind of like
Yeah.
worrying, especially in the uh like electronic music community, because a lot of people in that community are kind of like hippies and wooks and shit, and they like are the biggest conspiracy theorists anyway.
Right.
And then there's like, light conspiracy theorists surrounding the vaccine about people thinking it's fucking Bill Gates microchipping everyone and all this kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it was just like as a producer and as, as a DJ, and as somebody who like, you know, I want to get back to doing everything just as much as everybody else did, or does. So I I wanted to be a part of the solution of like how we're going to, get things, back to the way that, they were to a degree. So if the solution was, getting a vaccine, I'm willing to do that if that means that, we can continue going about our careers and, you know, and building everything that we were working on for so many years. So
Yeah, totally.
I
What vaccine did you get?
the Pfizer vaccine.
Nice, the Lamborghini.
Oh, is that what it is? Is that the high class vaccine? I got
Yeah, and
I got
like
lucky then, I guess.
the Moderna is like the Rolls Royce, and then like the Johnson and Johnson is like a nice Camry.
Okay. All right. I'll take a nice Camry, man. I'm not picky about cars.
It's like a good quality, like one owner only, 2005, but like no dents Camry.
Nice. Does the AC work?
The AC is like it'll work on occasion. If it gets too hot, it stops working.
Yeah.
When you need it most,
Yeah,
it
exactly.
dies on you. Um,
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it's, I think ultimately like it was definitely a hard year for everybody, and I think a lot of people just don't know what to believe anymore, And a lot of people, it's hard to know nowadays with like the way the information is given to us. There's so many different sources of information. Like it's almost impossible now to know what's true and what's false. And I think that's one of the things that's kind of like slightly concerning for the future, is that like the way that we consume news and understand facts and understand like what's happening in the world is very skewed because it comes from so many different sources. And like those, all of those sources probably have a different take on that. And so it's hard to I think as like a human race or as humanity, it eventually will become very difficult to decide on what's true, you know.
Surely this has to be like a net good though, right? Of like getting your news from many sources rather than one source, right? Because if all your news comes from one source, like it did back in the day, then they can just feed you whatever narrative
Exactly.
you
Yeah,
want,
yeah.
and there's nothing you can
100%.
do about it, right?
I
Whereas
agree with
like
that as well.
yeah, whereas this way it's like yes, you can get your news from a lot of sources, though a lot of the sources are probably just people's opinion pieces, which is like obviously hard to you got to take those with a grain of salt, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think like having non-profit organizations giving you news
Right. Yeah.
alongside the big media like CNN and all that crap, and then obviously being able to get your news directly from scientists on Twitter and all that kind of stuff, I think is like kind of net positive for humanity.
Yeah. I think so too. I guess in that regard, I would say I agree. I think it's just especially during the last year, I thought that a little bit. It's like, because it was so hard to even know what, what was real or what was true or false about what was happening in the world. It's kind of an interesting thought to think of, like how we consume news, how we understand it, and how we all agree to what's true and what's false. Is largely shaped by, where we go to consume that information.
Mm, right. Yeah, I also think the way that social media works is kind of fucking crazy too, because like for starters, like everybody sees a completely different world when they look on their phone, right? Like if we swapped phones for a day and I like looked at all your social feeds and you looked at all my social feeds, like we'd just feel like we're living in completely different realities.
Yeah.
Um, so there's that, and then secondly, I feel like social media's prime directive is to serve you ads, right? Like that's how these things make money is they sell ads to people and then they show those ads to consumers or people using the platforms, and then that's how they monetize.
Yeah.
Um, so it's not like there's a person behind those platforms being like, oh, we want to serve Chroma another ad right now, and hey, we want to serve Bill this ad at this time or whatever. Like it's all AI driven.
Yeah.
And pretty much I think what the AI has figured out is if they just like slam people who have opposing opinions into each other head on, they'll both stay engaged with the app for longer and therefore be able to be served more ads. So I think that's why there's so much like divide these days too, right? It's like this
Oh yeah.
AI system that's just trying to like monetize these platforms is just going like fucking slam these people together constantly, so they're
Yeah.
constantly fighting and then therefore constantly staying on the app, so we can like in the sidebar as they argue with each other show them ads.
Yeah. That's a very interesting connection. I didn't even consider that connection. But did you
I guarantee you that's what's happening.
had you just thought of that like when considering it or when thinking about it?
No, I thought about this like a long time ago. I thought it was pretty obvious, like, as
Yeah,
what was
yeah,
it?
no, I mean, now that you mention it, I mean, it probably is, very obviously doing that.
Yeah, I mean, like you get almost every time I go on Twitter, I see something that pisses me off, right? Or like,
Yeah,
but if I look at somebody else's Twitter, which I've like, I'll like every now and then my girlfriend will be looking at Twitter and I'll like glance at her screen. Like
yeah,
nothing pisses me off. I'm like, this is whatever. Like I don't even understand half of the context of the tweets that I'm seeing on her screen. Like how could
yeah,
I be angry at any of that? But
yeah.
then like I look at my one and I'm like, that is the wrong opinion.
Yeah, they're
Like,
like, "We know how to give Bill.
yeah,
We're gonna"
exactly.
Yeah, and, like, the AI software has got you figured out, and they're just gonna feed you everything that pisses you off so that they can monetize every second of your attention.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. Um, but
It's
yeah, I mean, I think in that way, like the news that we get on the internet has got to be taken with a grain of salt too, because like for all you know, it's just the AI fucking trying to feed you bullshit to keep you on the app so you can get served more ads.
I wonder how many, like, artificial intelligence articles were just created, like, just to piss people off. Like, it's probably just, like a totally false news story posted by like an AI program that's just learning what to pit like what to post to piss people off.
I don't think it's doing that. I mean, that might be happening to some degree. I'd be surprised if that was happening, but I think more or less what's happening is like,
Somebody will develop
um,
it.
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
What I think more or less is happening is like some article that is like real and does exist, but is like, controversial to certain people,
Yeah.
will then just get shown to those certain people that
Yeah.
it is controversial to.
Realistically, I imagine that's probably how it would work. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, fuck, man. I'm gonna go eat because I just woke up and like didn't start it.
Yeah.
I woke up late as I said and was like, shit, I got to do this podcast, and then
Yeah. 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 No
just
worries,
drank
man.
coffee, so I'm really hungry.
For
But
sure.
man, it was awesome having you on. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. I love this podcast, so I was stoked to do this. And yeah, thank you so much for having me, man.
Yeah, of course. Cool. So yeah, if you just send me the audio from your side,
Yeah,
I'll
absolutely.
hit
Yeah, it looks like